Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen Podcast. And today, as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about singularity, right? Specifically the universe, right? And I'm telling you, this is going to go down a whole different rabbit hole that I don't think you may or may not have contemplated before. But this episode will be woke. Now, hear me when I say woke. It's not going to be on no the constitutions of the restitutions of the destitution of the consecration of the formaldehyde that let me know that the intrication of the navigation of the depths down into the mind, into the crevices and the crevices of it's not gonna be like that. It's not gonna be like that. It's gonna stick to the same thing, but y'all already know how I gets down. Like I gotta make sure y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say some shit, right? So when I consider singularity, for me, singularity is oneness, as we know. But we live in a dual world, right? When we look at the world, right, which is wow, because if we look at how nature's binary. Nature is binary. So when you hear motherfuckers say non-binary, it's like, wow, you're saying unnatural. So when they tell you, okay, what's your gender? Male, female, non-binary. So you got the two natural ones, and then whatever you deem is unnatural, whatever your gender is, you could do that. We're gonna call it non-binary because the reason why they're calling it non-binary, a lot of people don't get this. The non-binary part is you're assuming on the surface is, oh, it's because I don't affiliate with being male or female because what is gender anyway? Gender's fluid, gender's whatever. All right, call it what you want. But the reason why you say it's non-binary because now it has to go against nature. Hence why you're now look at the in the last 4 years. In the last 4 years, if you look at what the world has changed, it has not only left duality, it has now entered multiplicity. The goal of life, when we're born into this motherfucker, is to reach singularity. They're now taking us to multiplicity. I need y'all to follow me with that. We were already in duality. When you come into this world, the moment that's why I did the episode on innocence. Probably not why, but divinely why I did the episode on innocence first. Because when you have your innocence, you are in a singular state. You can see things unbiasedly, right? When you lose your innocence, that's when you enter the world of duality where you're picking sides. They have now created a world within, like I said, within the last few years where we have popular words, non-binary, trans, and artificial. Those are the three words that are pretty much at the front of everything important, more or less. You feel what I'm saying? So when they tell you so now they're telling you non-binary, right? And I'm gonna get to the binary code because it's very important. They say non-binary, right? They're now saying trans women. You notice nobody is saying trans men are real women, are real men. I'm just saying. I have not heard a trans man. I just not have not heard it as much in relation as I heard trans. Now I've heard not all women get periods. Huh? But you feel me? I have never heard trans men are real men. I've heard trans women are real women. And now we're going to the age of artificial intelligence that appears so fucking real. I just seen this post where this guy had typed in some data and pretty much gave some like voice, like gave only like 2 or 3 clips of him talking and then just typed in some information and they matched his voice damn near to the T, to the vibration, to everything. And he was like, I didn't even know it was me. That's crazy because now, like I said, that segues us from going from singularity to duality. Now we're into multiplicity. If y'all don't understand how the mind works, it doesn't work under multiplicity. It works under singularity and it barely functions under duality. This is why we get mental issues. Our mental anxieties, our mental issues come from duality. When we reach singularity again, the mental issues stop. Think about this. When you look at the two things that affect us the most, mental health wise, depression and anxiety. What is depression? You focus too much on the past too long. You pick the side. There was a duality of something in the side, and you pick the bad side and you mold over it. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't no different than I had to get over this myself. It ain't no different than when you post content or you make good content, right? Everybody fought with your shit. The good shit completely goes out like, yo, this shit touched my soul. Yo, this shit just woke me up. Folgers, it made me like, and you get that motherfucker like, bitch, you lying. Or they say something again. You focus on that and you magnify it. It literally, that one event has the same significance as one event of all of the good things. The good things you admonish. I mean, you get more of them, but the event wise, now you magnetize this one thing as great as the accumulation of all the good things that balance it. So when we look at duality, our mental health is because our duality is fucked up. Our dual nature is imbalanced, which can't bring us back to singularity, right? Which is ultimately what we're going to talk about. But before we dive into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. Be sure to check out my website at iamjustscene.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you greatly appreciate it. And to all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not this episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this, and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to dive into Singularity, the universe. And don't forget to visit iamjustscene.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit iamjustscene.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit iamjustscene.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit iamjustscene.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit iamjustscene.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit iamjustscene.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at iamjustscene.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit iamjustscene.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And as you see, within the first 5 minutes, I already showed y'all where this episode is going. It's amazing how like one word or one idea can have so much behind it. And I'm saying that on the strength that I look at the words that people take for granted. Like what words you speak and what holds behind it and what, you know what I'm saying? Because that goes into part of our singular nature, but it mostly goes into our dual nature. Right. But like I said, before we can address the dual nature, we got to address this multiplicity they're trying to send us into. We are in the Aquarian age. In the Aquarian age, which is the age of knowledge, it is befitting to be in your singular mode mentally. So you can see things unbiasedly, right? You can create faster. Trust me. When you are able to be in your singular space in the age of knowledge, it's easier to obtain it because you're not picking the dual side that keeps you from, from being half full or half complete, right? So now when they give us these multiplicities, like I said, like non-binary, you feel me? Or motherfucker, the trans women, like all of these other things, gender's fluid, gender's not real. No, what they're doing is they're taking you away from duality, right? The goal, as I said in the beginning, the goal of living, the goal of existence, when you come into this world, right? It's not to make it back to heaven. It's not to avoid hell. It's not to leave a lasting imprint. It is to understand the singularity of the source, right? This requires you to detach from the entire world, reconnect to yourself, then reconnect with the world. So that way you can disconnect when you need to, right? When we don't know how to disconnect and now we're moving into multiplicities, everything's an attachment. When you attach to something, your mental health is going to be fucked up with it. You can't let it go. Like when I talk to people about, because I don't teach people about this shit. You either got to do it or you don't. So when I talk to people about this conversation, this topic, when it comes to, relationships, it's like people in the multiplicity that has happened it develops a level of egoistic greed when it comes to a relationship. And it's the single, we're not trying to restore ourselves back to the one. Right? We're trying to get farther away from the one and don't even know it. You feel what I'm saying? And we're getting farther away from the one because we're not even trying to understand ourselves. We're just trying to make sure that we can compete in the world or fit into the world. You know what I'm saying? It's scary. It's really scary because I don't see any positivity coming out of multiplicities, only because of the way in which I understand the mind. So now, the reason why this is called Singularity, the universe, and it ties into singularity binary. First, let me address that part. I know it seems like I'm all over. So now back to the binary shit and all of that shit. So when we look at the binary, because I never went back to this part. I hate when I flow and I do that. So when we talk about the binary, right? Binary is 1 and 2, but it's not listed as 1 and 2. Binary is 0 and 1. They call it the matrix. When you see the matrix codes, the zeros and ones falling and everything, that is a very important code of the universe. The universe honors binary code because the universe doesn't see numbers. It doesn't see the numbers when it sees 0 and 1. It sees the symbols that they represent. 0 represents either absolute creation or initiation. You see what I'm saying? Because it is a cycle. It is the beginning, right? The circle represents infinity or whatever. It represents the infinite. That is the first, that is one, not the first half, but that is one half of singularity, right? Infinity, right? The one, right, represents finite, but we're going to flip it a little bit because I'm going to show you where I'm going to go with that. But the one represents eternity. Now I know this thing is semantics. You're saying infinity and eternity mean the same thing. They don't. They don't. You use them interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing. And here's the distinction between them. Eternity is masculine. Eternity has an end. I know people think that eternity does not have an end because they use it synonymously with infinity. Eternity has an end in the sense that it has completion. Eternity has completion because if you look at it symbolically, eternity is represented by a circle. Specifically a circle with a dot in the middle. You have to do some research. I'm going to show you why I'm going down on that. But it's represented by a circle with a dot in the middle, specifically a circle. The infinity is represented by sideways 8, right? Infinity shows us continuation and duality. That's why there's a twist in the middle. Because it's going to go, it has its highs, it has its lows. It has its highs, it has its lows. That's infinity. There is no high, low, or anything when it comes to eternity. If you look at a circle start and a circle ends, there's no, around that circle, it's a singular movement, right? So this is how we're looking at these two. So eternity is masculine. You feel me? Infinity is feminine. So now when we go into that, now sticking it back, like this whole shit is about to get real deep, right? So sticking it back to the binary part, right? You have 0 and you have 1. Basically, the universe is divided into eternity and infinity. Masculine and female, masculine and feminine, right? This dual nature is how whatever deity, the highest conceptualization of the mind, whatever deity you follow, this is how they identify themselves. The deity is binary, right? But again, they've been taking us out of the binary system for a long time. This is why you got to go back to Egypt up from Kemet. But this is why Egypt is the fallen dynasty. And this is where the baton changed. It didn't change. It was snatched and it was desecrated and stolen. But in the baton being changed, these points were important because where they called us polytheistic, we weren't polytheistic. We were dualistic in the understanding of eternity and infinity. That's why you had male and female deities. At the highest level, if you look at what's called, they talk about Ra. You feel me? And this is how I know you got to go back to Egypt and up for Kemet. They talk about Ra being a god, but who's set above Ra? That's why I don't appreciate what the Bible, the Quran, and all of these Western religions have done, because they make God the top. The deity that you serve, they make that the top. There is something sitting above that deity. When you understand what I'm gonna say this, when you understand what deific energy is, you understand that there's a deity above your deity, or there's energy above your God or your deity, because your deity is a manifestation of one of those sides. So when we receive our deity is singular, right? It's singular in nature. No, it's not singular in nature. It has chosen a single side, and it appears singular, but it's not. It accepted a half of a duality. This is why every deity is male. Every deity of the Western culture is male. They cannot coexist with women. They tell you when you, and this is why I have my problems with religion. This is, quick tangent and quick rant. Motherfuckers be like, they be like, yo, why don't you? I'm like, yo, because I like women. They're like, why don't you fuck with religion or whatever the case may be? I say, yo, this shit doesn't fuck with women. Yes, it does. No, it don't. It don't. Like, I get it. Okay, yeah, you can give me Priscilla and Abigail as women who were prophets or whatever the case may be. But women ain't shitting these motherfuckers so much so they have no deific energy. There is no woman deity in the Western world. And the women that are deities, they're demons. The only deity that they agree on as far as Western cultures and Western thing is Lilith. Lilith is the queen of demons. She's the mother of demons. But if you actually understand Lilith from an astrological perspective, which how you supposed to understand it, Lilith represents the dark side, right? She's the dark aspect of feminine energy. She's the real aspect of feminine energy. And now again, because of dualities, they make us see dark and light as whatever they are. You feel what I'm saying? So again, when they give us deities that are all he's, right? They showed us that you honor, like that means that whatever doctrine, this is why people don't understand why when they follow religion, they're like, why is the devil busy? Why my life I get closer to God and it's like I get tried more. The reason why, and here's the reason why I need you to understand this, because now you're going to understand it from an allegorical level. Y'all always heard me say religion is allegorical. Y'all always heard me say religion is mythology, ritual, and allegory, right? It's good to talk about. But sometimes I got to prepare y'all for the real conversation of what the allegory really is, because it can fuck you up. Because now you're going to be mad at the motherfuckers that have lied to you this whole time, but they didn't know that they were lying to you. This now goes also into when I say the throat chakra is blocked by lies you tell and lies you hear, whether you know it's a lie or not. Your throat chakra is blocked because you speaking some shit that you heard from a motherfucker who knew what they were not talking about. And you now speak it matter of factly and you just heard it. You dig what I'm saying? But because of that, we have all accepted deities that are eternal, not infinite. The male deities that we fuck with are eternal, because now we go back to the binary side. They gave you the male binary. This is why every other aspect, when there is some kind of friction against this, it's the infinity side. It's the chaos. It's the feminine side, which is synthesis and construction. Think about all of the times when the motherfucking devil is busy, or when motherfucking your life is getting hard, or when the challenges come. You think you're giving your devotion and everything to your deity, but you wonder why the fuck shit keeps coming, because you are not living in a singular space. You're living in a dual space and you picked one side. The universe has to maintain balance. So if you neglect the other side of the balance will still come in abundance to match where you are. Yeah, this is not to say in any way, shape, or form do bad shit to balance that, to keep the bad shit off. You grown, do what you do. But at the same token, what I am telling you is that the more you try to push to be good, the more you magnetize bad. You dig what I'm saying? What Jay said, Lord, forgive me, I never would have made it without sin. Right. People be thinking I'm being an asshole when I say this shit, but I'm being 100% genuine and honest. If you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing. Now we can get into allegorical shit now. And you can see that, oh, no, that ain't blasphemous. I see what you're saying. If you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing, because Jesus died to keep it in eternity. What was the thing? Who should ever believe in Jesus shall not die but have everlasting life, eternal life, eternity. Now we understand the binary side of eternity as the other half of singularity. Jesus represents a form of consciousness, Christ consciousness, the highest elevation of consciousness. So you mean to tell me the highest elevation for consciousness has to die for your sins? We understand that a sin is not something that's bad when we actually go back to a sin. It's the lack of knowledge. The very first sin was Eve eating of the tree of knowledge. Nigga, think about that. She condemned the whole world because she wanted to be intelligent. Why did Eve eat the apple? Adam ate it second. Take it back to the binary side. The infinity versus the eternity. The two have to come together. This is why I talk about square circles and circle squares. You feel what I'm saying? The two maintain. So when Adam, eternity, blamed Eve, infinity, it seemed as if Eve did it, right? So think about it. Now, this is when I talk about, how chaos, peace, infinity represents chaos too. That's why it's the number 8 sideways. The number 8 is a number of chaos, but they make it sideways. So it's like, we don't want you to know it's 8. Now we're going to talk about infinity. It's a sign that keeps the loop that keeps going and going and going. When infinity becomes eternity, that chaos stops. The reason why I'm saying that is because when I say peace is the control of chaos, when you merge your eternity with your infinity, peace happens. Your masculine with your feminine, peace happens. But when they're telling you, now this is why I have to define it too, but when they're telling you, oh, these are fluid things, they're not real. This shit ain't real when we talk about masculine, because now they have given you and diluted the word so much that they can paint whatever meaning they want to, because they diluted the essence of what they meant, right? So when we're dealing with binary, we have circle and we have the number one. That's the matrix. They're telling you, oh, you stuck in the matrix. Get out of the matrix. Everybody like, the only way to get out of the matrix is to understand the fucking matrix. Everybody wants to understand details of the programming, not the matrix itself. I don't give a fuck about the programming of the matrix anymore, because when I understand the matrix, I reprogram whatever program you have. Think about this. If I know how to code Microsoft Excel, right, I can change what to do in Microsoft Excel. You feel me? But what I can't do is change what happens in Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Outlook. If I know how to program Microsoft Office, if I learn how to program Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel becomes a piece of it. It doesn't become the everything. When we attack this world, when we approach this world, the matrix that they put us in, they make us focus on a piece of the matrix. And they magnify that piece of the matrix to make it look, nigga, that's the matrix. Go focus on that. So now while everybody's talking about y'all unplugged for the matrix, everybody's talking about a different matrix, because everybody's not looking at the bigger picture, that the matrix is based off of singularity, binary. And we're getting farther and farther away from binary. And we're getting deeper and deeper into multiplicity. You feel me? Y'all need to start understanding these esoteric sciences, right? We have been transitioning into a phase of higher thought. You're going to get left behind. You're already left behind. In the next 28 years, you will be a part. If you do not adapt, you will be a part of the useless class. I already talked about that. I'm giving y'all warnings, man. I see far as hell. And I give y'all warnings, and I be giving y'all not even warnings to scare y'all, but hey, tighten up. Understand this duality that's happening right now, and understand the duality they're trying to take us away from. So when they are able to do that and they already control it, they now control the binary system, which is the natural order of life. Eternity has to merge with infinity. Masculine has to merge with femininity. The good has to merge with the bad. We created the line to keep it all separate. This is why the world is built off of competition. Competition keeps the masculine and feminine separate. Collaboration makes them unite. This is why, if you study Kemetic iconography, I'm not saying practice and go to Egypt, but it's why I say you got to go back to Egypt up from Kemet, because eventually, when you go back to Egypt, you go up from Kemet, you start studying Nubian Kush, you're going to end up back here in America. You might end up in the Grand Canyon and shit, but that's another conversation. That's another conversation. But at the same time, when you go back to that shit, you start to see every deity that they honored, they had a female counterpart to it. The Ennead, Ennead, or the Ogdod, Ogod, it's a number of 8. Chaos. Think about it. Like, it was always a pair. It was like the man and the woman, but it was like Kook and Kuket. Something like you have a Heru, and every deity has their balance. They have their opposite part, because they maintain the what you call it above those, even above Ra. Like, they're like, yo, Ra, and this is what, I ain't gonna say it pissed me off, but this is what pissed me off about the understanding of people. People look at Ra as the god. There's nothing above him. There's an entity above Ra called the Nibiru, right? The Nibiru is hard to pronounce because I don't know the language and shit. I have to say it Englishly regardless. But above that, that is a singular being. The Nibiru, if you look at the iconography, it has wings, has a beak, has a face, it's masculine, it's feminine. It's similar to the Baphomet, but I am going to talk about the Baphomet today because it does tie into this. Just not right now. Don't be scared though. It's not gonna be no scary shit. Because again, I'm gonna show you what the Baphomet really is and why they keep you away from understanding it. So above Ra, you have the Nibiru. This is what people don't understand. When you got your deity, it is because the deity this is how the world needs to run, and this is what energy we want the world to balance with. The council and I see it was a phenomenal thing. They said we can do this for as long as we want, as long as we make them believe in the religion. And now we believe in the religion. And believing in the religion separates the singularity. We have to operate from duality, and we choose to operate the duality of he. But we don't understand what he is. So now what are they trying to do now? Create the multiplicity by removing pronouns. Niggas ain't even he's no more. They're thee and them. Because if you understand what he is, you understand that you're eternal, not infinite. Women are infinite. Men are eternal. Again, the core essence of where we are. This is the dual nature. It goes back to the source. So when you look at the nurture, like I said, it has wings. It encompasses so much, but it's like it's both male and female. It's both male. It's singular in nature, but it's one. It's not as opposed to anything below Ra, where you have the opposing sides. The nurture is one. When you go back and they're like, oh, the ancestors, they worship hermaphrodites. Speaking of hermaphrodites, and now we could talk about the Baphomet. The Baphomet is hermaphrodite. It's a hermaphroditic animal. A goat, to be exact. It's a hermaphroditic goat. The interesting thing about the Baphomet is that I used to be scared of it. I I ain't gonna hold you. But again, I study antithesis. Don't shit scare me no more, because I'm like, nigga, when you get back to singularity, you realize the only reason why you're scared of shit is because you don't know the other side. The only reason why you fear shit is because you don't know either side. You feel me? So when they create these multiplicities, motherfuckers don't even have that. I'm just going with the flow. Motherfuckers really ask somebody what they really stand on. They don't know. It's what's hot at the time. This is why trends work. Trends work because of multiplicity. You feel me? You have people that can ride trends well. You feel me? You have people that can't ride trends at all because they can't keep up with the multiplicity. It's ever changing. But the singular nature can, if you can infuse your singular nature into any trend, you can ride any trend. Or you can create a trend. That's a different story, because we're still here. So when we talk about the Baphomet, right? What does the Baphomet encompass? Masculine, feminine, animal kingdom, human kingdom, and the plant kingdom. Stars and everything too. It got moons and all kind of shit. The Baphomet is a very impactful symbol and an image that it broke down to. The most significant piece about that Baphomet, niggas like, oh, it got titties and it got, yes. Why do you think it has titties and, you know what I'm saying, built like a man? Like, why do you think it has that? It's hermaphroditic symbolically. Because if you look at the arms, you look at the, first off, the Baphomet puts his two fingers together, like guns almost, but it's together. Peace and unity. When you put your two fingers together and separate them, that's peace and separation, which is one of the things that they call peace now. Like there's so many different symbolisms that are going to be revealed that you didn't, wow, I didn't even think. Yes, peace and separation. When you throw up the peace sign, peace is love, and then peace easily translated into homosexuality. Like, again, I ain't got no grapple against homosexuals. I don't care, but I'm telling you what they're doing. You feel what I'm saying? I'm telling you what they're doing. So peace. First, it was the separate unity is separate. You have unity in separation, not unity in oneness, right? So peace is unity and separation. That's the first thing. What was peace? The first peace symbols were always rainbow type shit. Then they attached homosexuality to the rainbow, and then they stopped holding up peace signs. They just put homosexuality onto the LGBT on the homosexuality. Then they added letters to the shit, and then now it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing attached to it now. All because now we're losing. We're stepping out of singularity. We've been out of singularity. When we born, we out of, like, the moment we learn to walk and talk, or the moment we learn to talk and comprehend. Let me say that. When we learn to talk and comprehend, that's when our dual nature kicks in. The moment we start accepting experiences of other people, that's when the multiplicity kicks in. And you no longer test and show yourself approved and learn your own knowledge, and you just start believing motherfuckers. That's when the multiplicity comes in. And this is why when you get 30, well, I ain't gonna say 30. When you get about 20, 30, 40, you feel me? When you get in that pocket and you start realizing everything that you've been told was a lie, or you still feel unfulfilled, you still feel like, I did everything everybody said and it still ain't enough yet. What the fuck is, why? Because you're not bringing yourself back to singularity. You're going deeper into a multiplicity to please motherfuckers, to fit into a conformist world of motherfuckers who don't know what the fuck they doing. Don't nobody know how to experience this life, because they're so busy telling you the way you supposed to live in, and you just following the shit. And it all starts with the core of the religion. Religion sets the tone for you to listen to everybody else and think everybody else's opinion is better than yours. What are the most important things of the Bible? The 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments outside of following Jesus, but the 10 Commandments are, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not do this. Everything is what you shall not do, not me. Not what I shall not do. And the reason why I'm saying you is because that is very telling, because when you're following a doctrine that only speaks about you, it is half. But when you talk about the doctrine that speaks about I, it is whole. You feel me? Because for me to tell you that what you're doing is wrong, whether I do the behavior or not, or whether I acknowledge the behavior or not, that shows that there's a disconnect in the duality, or maybe I'm in a multiplicity. This is why they say, this is why on one breath people say practice what you preach, but on the other hand, they say do as I say, not as I do, because I can't do what I'm telling you. So I'm in a whole multiplicity that I'm telling you that, like, just imagine that shit. You know how many times motherfuckers have told you do what you say and not as I do, and you're like, how can you tell me all of the negative effects of this, or tell me that it's wrong, tell me I shouldn't be doing, and you actively do it? It makes you not even want to try it. You feel me? This is no shot to my mother. I love my mother to life. But my mother, when she used to smoke, she couldn't tell me that smoking was bad. And she was telling me smoking was bad. I remember I used to steal her cigarettes. Like, I used to steal cigarettes from her because I couldn't buy them and shit. But it'd be like, and it wasn't like she was supporting my habit. She wasn't. I was stealing from her. You feel me? Like, so it's like, in that, she was like, Dad, I wish I never started smoking. Ma, it ain't had nothing to do with you. Me smoking wasn't because, but then it was like, at the same time, you were telling me something. And that was her thing. She said, I was telling you something that I was doing, telling you something was bad that I was doing, and I was saying it because I couldn't quit. And I was like, well, the addiction can't be that bad. You don't give it up. You're telling me that it's this bad, but you don't want to give up this badness. Why? Why? Because we walk in a world of multiplicity. Not only that, but in a world where once we accept a single duality, not a singularity, we accept a single duality, the rest of our life is balanced off of the opposite of that. That's why I don't fuck with motherfuckers who be like, yo, positive vibes only. You can suck this positive dick. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you no positive vibes only, because when you only put positive vibes only negative vibes can come in. I know, right? It's like, what? The law of attraction says you receive what you are. Hear me well. The law of attraction says that you gravitate towards and receive what you are in completion. So even if you have accepted a single duality within yourself, you still have a whole other half. And that chaos that keeps coming into your life, that's your other half. That's what makes you complete. But because you don't access that shit within yourself and master it for a positive perspective in life, it's going to have external forces that come into you. Simple. It's almost a one-to-one when people say walk by faith. And then look, when people say I walk by faith and not by sight, but then when motherfuckers do walk by faith, the devil end up busy. You might want to open your eyes, homie. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's almost like a one-to-one thing to me from what I hear. The people that say, yo, you got to walk by faith, equally have said, if not more, the devil is busy in my life. The devil busy right now. But you got to walk by faith or have faith the size of a mustard seed. Wow. Okay, so when you do that, then what? If you pick a single duality, the other duality has to come, or the remaining multiplicities are going to start to affect you, which is why we're in the spaces that we're in right now, to where you have motherfuckers talking about non-binary shit. Again, non-binary is against nature. Nature, the zeros and the ones, the nature, masculine and feminine, it's not about man and woman. Y'all got to get higher than where we are. Y'all got to get higher than where we are. Because now when we take it back to the Bible, when we look at Adam and Eve, I was having a conversation with shit. I be fucking with people because I be knowing the answer to the shit. I just be saying, yo, do I really need to entertain this? Because where can you go? So I posted from one of the last podcast episodes a clip where I was saying, look, man, woman came from a man's rib once and man has not stopped coming since. Now, the dude was like, yo, that's because that's how God remained. I said, do you really believe in the Bible? He was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. Now, he conveniently skipped over this and tried to add science. Don't add science with me, bro. I know that shit too. So he says, so I asked him, I said, well, how do you think the scripture is wise, right, and exact? Well, it can't be wise, right, and exact. See, now you want to play semantics because you don't even believe in your shit because you probably don't know it, but it's okay. So as I tell him, I'm like, well, do you believe then that man came from the rib or whatever the case may be? I'm like, yeah, so do you also believe that God is the same now, then, forever, and always? So he's unchanging. So in the way which he started creation, you mean he changed that? He was like, nah, like, no, he skipped over that. And that's when he added the science. I was like, so then at that point, then that means that, Like there had to be women here or people here before Adam and Eve or during the time, because when Cain got kicked out of Eden, he went and married a motherfucker. So the guy says, how do you know it wasn't a Homo sapiens species? I said, so now you're talking bestiality. I said, are you gonna do science or are we gonna do the Bible? Because you're trying to do the science because you don't want to stay in the Bible no more because I already took you out of that motherfucker. Because you're like, oh damn, I didn't know that. I don't think I'm gonna use Homo sapiens, sapiens, and hominids. Yo, this just saying shit is a great illusion. Motherfuckers really think I don't be knowing shit, yo. So he's like, you know what I'm saying? He's talking about Homo sapiens, sapiens. I said, oh, I'm glad you said that, because then that would mean that who's the father of them or the mother if Adam is first. So that means Adam stepped out and had infidelity with. So when either he stepped out and had infidelity on Eve, or there was a time pocket in which Eve wasn't existed, that he went and he had some babies, but some women were already made. So either that or he was fucking animals. So do you think the Neanderthal is? Yes, the Neanderthal is an animal. I don't care what nobody keeps saying. They keep trying to tell us that we're not. There's some of us that were human already, full human. Some of us that was coming out of a primate stage. Some of us weren't primates. Some of us were not primates. We did not evolve out of the primate area. We don't come from the animal kingdom. The reason why they know that they come out of the animal kingdom is because they understand their history. We don't know their history or their origins. We don't understand the significance of why Europe is the only continent that starts with an E and ends with an E, while all the others start with an A and end with A. We don't understand the direct comparison between the time of which their birth started or their origin started is also the time in which the start of the Wormian Ice Age. We don't pay attention to the fact that Jupiter has a moon that is icy that is called Europa. We don't pay attention to the fact that they are adamant about getting to the moon. Not just Mars. They're adamant about getting to the moon. They're trying to figure out where the fuck they came from. They're trying to remember and get back there. They're from Europa. The whatever entities they were. Again, we on some allegorical shit. I'm woke today. I don't give a fuck if y'all, because I can prove this shit. I can break this shit down. The Europa icy moon. The conditions on the icy moon of Europa currently are the same conditions that the Earth was in during the Ice Age. Whatever was happening on Europa, it was done. And they were leaving that motherfucker. When they found Earth, they thought Earth was a moon. The same moon like Jupiter, but it wasn't. Earth was its own planet. When they landed, they couldn't leave because they realized this planet was in a season. This planet isn't permanently like this. This global warming shit, this ice cap melting, all this shit. Let me explain something to y'all. I need y'all to hear me. Hear me well. This is going to tie into singularity. This is going to tie into duality. This is going to tie into the reason for this non-binary shit. This is going to tie into the reason why we think the world is fucked up because of everybody when it's not. It's from these motherfuckers who came from the icy moon Europa, who landed in the landmass near the Caucasus Mountains in Turkey and all of that shit near Europe, where Europe is supposed to be. They colonized that land. That is a station. That is a satellite base. It ain't no different than we got the bases and the forts this and fort that in Iraq and all this other shit. That's what they did. It's a fort. It's a location. That's the only reason why it doesn't start in with A when all the others do, because there's not 7 continents. There's only 6. You feel me? Well, it's really 7. North America and South America, right? But the Americas are 1, right? So that's how they added Europe into it. We're still going to say it's 7 continents. Let's just say the Americas are split. Americas do look like 2. 2 or 3, really. North America, South America, Central America. Bitch, it's America. It's 1. All that shit's connected, right? And Europe sits in the middle of something. You feel what I'm saying? So now we're going to fuck up the whole algorithm, right? And now, when we talk about anything that affects everybody, only affects European people. Only affects Caucasoid people. Always remember that. This was something that I learned when I went to med school. This is the thing that broke my heart. This is the shit that people don't get when I say, yo, once your innocence is restored, you have a decision to make. It's one thing when my innocence is gone, it's like, oh, I just want to stop this and then. No. Once my innocence is restored, it's like, oh, y'all made it this way. I can't break this. I can't fix this. I can't fix this system because this is the system y'all want it to be. Because the entire world is based off of them. So when they say women have high risk for birth after 30, it's Caucasian women. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it's Caucasian women. Not on some fucked up shit, but 1, they have recessive genetics. And 2, because the average Caucasian woman has a what's called an android pelvis. Just you can look all of this shit up. I don't make it up. It's all in medical school shit. Android pelvis, right? Android pelvis is the pelvis of a man. 100% of men in this world have an android pelvis. When they try to tell you, oh, when we die, you're not going to be able to know whose gender you are. Yes, you will. And if you look like, yes, you will. You're either going to know if you're a man or woman, or you're going to know that you have recessive genetics. When they tell you that, oh, yeah, science can't prove that this was a man and this was a woman after that, because that was recessive genetics. A woman with an android pelvis is built like a prepubescent boy. Now we go to another level of the times of Europe and all of this shit, and why the statues were also homosexuals with mentors and shit, and the older guys always wanted to fuck with the younger boys, or they like young girls. The schoolgirl fetish. Why do you think that is? Because they look like prepubescent boys. This is why the older a woman gets, when her pelvis now transitioned into a platypoid pelvis, oh, she's damaged goods. We got to get them when they're young. We got to get them when they're like, nah, because you start to fuck with the reality deeper. You feel what I'm saying? So again, when they tell you women are having difficulty with childbirth past that, like, no, this entire system is based off the standard of Caucasian people because they had a recessive genetics. And the entire science of the medication is based off of how the black people respond because we have the highest genetics. Again, it seems superiority type shit, but if this wasn't the case, Henrietta Lacks's cells wouldn't still be being duplicated and multiplied right now. This one woman, one black woman is responsible for stem cell science. Sit with that. Sit with that. You have one black woman who's deceased. They just have her cells, and she's responsible for an entire discipline of science. And then you have the one white woman who started Planned Parenthood to try to destroy it all, because the two things connected. Because now when they say, we don't want the world to get overpopulated, we're not going to be in the population. You got to hear the double talk of what they're saying. The masters of technology, as they say. You feel me? Masters of deception. But the deepest part of the deception is that whenever they tell you that something's wrong with the world, it's wrong with them and those that are like them. Global warming? If you can deal with the sun between the tropics of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator, global warming ain't gonna fuck with you. What a lot of people don't fucking realize is, like, when we look at cities of Atlantis and the shit like that, we put the context in wrong. We look at Atlantis as a lost city that got flooded. I mean, we look at Atlantis as a lost city underwater. No, it was a city that eventually got flooded. Here's what I mean. I don't mean flooded immediately, like, oh, that, like, no. With the global warming, with the ice age and all that shit, niggas knew that shit was coming. They left. So the ice age is underwater, right? Because water had to fill. This is another thing. This is a tangent. This is me personally. I feel like when people argue, oh, is the earth flat? Is the earth round? I think it's both. I think the earth sits in a little bowl, a little cup. Like, it's flat. Like, because when they describe the flat shit, but it's like, how does it still a dome? Because it's both. It's like a marble. If you think of earth like a marble, you get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I visualize it now. Because I'm like, when you look at the characteristics of what they say, it's almost like when you look at and you go to physics, right? A light wave and a light photon, totally different things, but it's the same shit. A photon moves in a beam. A wave, of course, moves in a wave, but it's the same shit. It's the emission of energy, just expressed differently. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm like, when I hear people say, "Yo, flat, the Earth is flat," they got a good, compelling argument. But again, when I look at when people say the Earth is round, but there's a point where they tell the exact same story. And when they tell the exact same story, you can picture it as, yo, this shit is like a marble. And the flat Earth sits in the middle of the cup, the dome. Earth is round and flat. I got you. Got you. That's just my own little theory. Don't take that. That's just how I feel. But shit like that is why, largely, why this conversation is happening. Because you see how I had to find a singularity between the two components and then bring it back. But this is what they don't do. So when they look at, like I said, when we look at how they built the world, or whatever, how they're making the world move, and they're like, oh, we are like, no, we aren't doing shit. This is y'all's doing, right? This is what's going to affect y'all, not us. Like I said, when I was in med school, 2 months, not 2 months, 2 semesters, two different labs, 2 different anatomy labs. It was like 40 cadavers. I think it was like 40, no, or 80 or something, 80 cadavers or something like. I think it was 80 cadavers. Whatever it was 160 bodies. I remember counting it. So it had to be 80 for the two. All right, so 80 cadavers. All of these cadavers are Caucasian. So it's like, wow, y'all are just bringing people in to study everything to only focus on y'all, right? So now, when the global warming shit hits and they're like, yo, what's going to happen? It's only going to affect the Caucasoid and the Mongoloid, not the Africoid, which is another point of this set. Here's a point of the singularity. Here's a point of the multiplicity. This is why I say I'm genetically dominant. I don't co-sign that I'm African, I'm American, I was here on this land. Like, you see how multiplicities work? You see what worlds of multiplicities we in now? We went from dualities to now it's like, oh, I'm not defined by this. Then now we let motherfuckers tell us they don't see color. I don't know how. I do. I don't give a fuck. Motherfuckers tell me, oh, I don't see color. You can't love is like love ain't love. Little love ain't love. Love ain't love. I'm sorry. Because with love comes correction. And if my relationship with you or my situation with you is at the detriment of myself, but the enhancement of you, that's not love for me. That's hatred for me and hatred for you. You hate yourself enough that you want to enhance it with me, but you're giving me the illusion that I'm enhancing it with you. Mm-mm. That ain't how it go. Not genetically. I have genetics of dominance. You can't argue this shit. This is why they use pea plants, because they can't use humans. Get a little real fucked up in the genetics class if you use humans. That's why Mendel used pea plants. You feel me? The green pea plants and the yellow pea plants. And then when you start to get the homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, heterozygous, oh, you knew who the Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Africoid was. And then you knew where they stood. And then you knew who was really the. But then you realize the whole singularity of all this shit. Oh, we are one. We're not one. We're all the same. We're not the same. Bill and I keep convincing y'all that shit, that we're the same. Like us taking it back to the skeleton thing. Not only can you identify a pelvis structure to know that this was a male or a female, you can also know if it was a recessive male or recessive female. White men can't jump is not a insult. You feel me? It's a genetic deficit. You know what it takes to have the muscle fibers to naturally develop the muscle fibers and twist to jump high? You feel me? Now, the white dudes that can jump, that is an enhancement. That means that you received a dominant part. But when the dominant side can't do shit. But now, here's ties into other things. Because now it's going to say, because I literally just seen this motherfucker like white dudes can't jump. He said, it would be racist if you say black people can't swim. I mean, but how would it be wrong if we said black people can't swim? Kind of, because the reason why we don't swim is not the reason why y'all can't jump. Our history with water and y'all, no, I ain't gonna say our history with water. Our history with water up until now is different. You feel me? Yeah, because we still honor, Yemaya, Oshuns. We honor the water. We respect the water. We have a natural proclivity for the water. We love the water. Everybody loves the water. We love it. You feel what I'm saying? But we don't fuck with the water. Not because we genetically can't swim. Not because we have a genetic deficit, but it's because it's a genetic memory of, being thrown over ships. You feel me? By chains, drowning underwater. You feel me? Going to, pools and shit and having bleach poured in the fucking pool on you. Motherfucking having whole cities flooded and put underwater, and you think it's a whole lake. So it makes me wonder what the fuck happened to Atlantis. I know you like how I swung that, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. Was Atlantis really a lost city? Or did it become the Atlantic Ocean? In the same way Lake Lanier was a city, it was an area, it was a housing area that became a lake. Well, how the fuck they gonna get that much water to flood the fucking ocean? I don't know. But I'm just speculating. Because you feel me? I don't put it past them. I don't put it past them. I don't put it past them at all. This is the shit that they fucking do. So again, tying it back, we don't swim because we can't. We swim because we can't swim because of trauma. Like y'all really couldn't jump. Y'all can now because now we have this thing called horizontal gene transfer, in which we start living with a certain, like, even the white girls getting ass now. It's like about time. It only took how many years for you to get. Now imagine this, right? Look at where we are now. Look, this is where the singularity shit comes in. This is why they picked and they created the standard of beauty. Imagine your standard of beauty being a recessive stock of genetics. That's crazy as fuck. You feel me? But they demonize all of the beauty. The thing about black people, black essence and shit. I was just thinking about this quote, like, everything that everybody finds beauty in, they get it from Africoid. I'm not gonna say Africa because I don't want to say just the landmass. They get it from Africoid, right? But in taking the beauty, they also, because they take this is how they operate from the duality. They embrace the beauty, and they make you see it as ugly, so they can keep taking it. You don't want this ugly shit. You right. I don't want this ugly shit. You right. I don't want these diamonds that are stuck in Sierra Leone. Fuck them blood diamonds. You right. I don't want this gold that's on my land. You right. I don't want these natural resources that's on my fucking land. Fuck these natural resources. Yeah, fuck them natural resources, yo. You don't need them fucking resources, bro. These resources ain't shit. This land is desolate. We don't give a fuck about it. Y'all gonna get another disease in 3 months anyway. Shit. Fuck this land. You feel me? That's how they work. All you keep hearing is get into the markets. But do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest, and if you should do stocks, Forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? That's how they work. But now, I know it still seems like, well, when are you going to get to the point of singularity? I've been talking about singularity the whole time, because now when we look at the duality, this is how the world happened. This is how we got fucked up. The singularity of the human. Now, I know it's going to seem like a contradicting myself. Saying you just said we not the same. We're not the same, but we are singular as humans. Now, the opposition, this is why we and they white. I don't like this, y'all. It can't get no obvious than that. Everybody else is ethnicity. Everybody else is about us. We clearly define and express, y'all, we are in a duality in this world right now. Pick a side or return to the oneness. Returning to the oneness erases the set of people. That's why they're preventing the oneness from being returned to. We not giving a fuck about the oneness being returned to on just that level. You feel me? Think about it. You have black people, and then you have the Indians, you have the Hindus, you have the religions, you have all of that shit, and then you have white people on the other side. And I get it. Everybody like, yo, how did we end up being called black and white? Because neither of us are black or white. Even the darkest black person you can think is the darkest shade of brown. They're not black. They're brown. They're a very, very dark hue of brown. How did we become black? We became black because in the expression of the word black, when we called ourselves black and met the Spanish, this is how we end up called niggas and shit. When we met the Spanish, you know, they identified us as negras or negra, like our women, because you know, the binary shit. English is the only language that doesn't honor male and female. Every language has, you literally have, if you want to say red and you want to talk about a man, you're going to say rojo. Or if a woman, you're going to say roja. So when they say negras, they were always talking about the black women. Negros were talking about the black men. Negros were talking about the black men. Negras was talking about the black women. When they heard these words as they're trying to learn how to conquer, because you got to think about it, when the Spanish came to Europe, Spanish is European, but it was a different European that came first. Christopher Columbus and them, and Amerigo Vespucci and them, they not the Britons. They all are European. Don't get me wrong. They are European, but they're different Europeans. Understand that. Still different Europeans. That's why it's a different type of white people. You have Spanish white people, you have European white people. You feel me? One side of the Americas got colonized by European white people. The other side got colonized by Spanish white people. They are white people. They are from Europe. They are from that European area. So, sticking with that, when they came here, Amerigo Vespucci and them came first. Well, Christopher Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci, and all them. The Spanish conquistadors came first. English came after. This is why they had to learn from the Spanish how to enslave the motherfuckers. So when the Spanish came, they were ruthless. They was ruthless fuck. They're the reasons why Puerto Ricans and Cubans, they're the reason why Puerto Ricans and Cubans don't understand that I know black, no more. The Spanish were able to do a lot more raping that nobody that conveniently gets speaks under the rug, is swept under the rug. And they were smart enough not see the thing about the Spanish, the reason why the energy is different and it was more susceptible because they targeted the women. Europeans targeted the men. This is why when the transition comes in, when you hear how white people say nigger, how it became nigger, they used to say the niggers. Everybody, you always wonder like why they say niggers? Why they say niggers and Negroes? Niggas and Negroes, because they got it from negras, and negros, which was what the Spanish conquistadors called them first. The Spanish conquistadors they didn't challenge the Negroes. It's easier to take the women. It's easier to get the women to make the men change than it is to break the men. But it's a more lasting and devastating and a devastational effect when you break the men. So now when you read the books that says how to make a Negro a Christian, it wasn't about turning the women at all. It was about breaking the man to make the woman accept the religion. And the pain that she sees her man going through, the Negroes, you see her deal with that. She says, I will accept the religion. And now my son I don't want my son to go through that. Now she indoctrinates him. Bug breaking. But that's how we became Negroes. Then ultimately, after Negroes, it was, African Americans and, foundational Black Americans. Nigga, y'all came from Africa. No, nigga, we was here. We are the Negroes and shit, right? So now, ties to that Hebrew Israelite shit, because then it's like, oh, wait, we was here. We didn't get shipped off in this. Yeah, when the conquistadors came over here, they didn't bring nobody. Now, here's why you ended up being called African. Here's another piece. I don't know how this became history. I'm going to get back to Singularity, but this is how you ended up becoming African too. Because when they saw the people, they said the flesh still resembled, it's Africoid. Oh, y'all resemble the same people from Africa, but y'all also resemble the same people from India. That's why they called us Indians here first. Because they went the wrong way, but they knew what they were supposed to be looking for, right? A melanated being. A darker flesh melanated being. So that was a small history lesson that ultimately came back to the division. We have Spanish white people and we have European white people. We got white people from Spain, we had white people from Europe, and both of them fucked with us. So now while they came over here, again, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans and shit, the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans. So it was basically the Spanish, the French, and European. Now the French is like they're like a transitionary phase between Spanish and European. Like it gets progressively whiter. Like you have the Spanish white, you have the French white, you got the European white. They all derive from the Latin language. Go to the roots of Latin, go to the Latin language and see what offshoots you get. You're going to get Spanish, you're going to get French, and then you're going to get English, right? Why is that important? Because Latin is also the language of magic. They have transition Latin. Like if you watch Harry Potter, every cantation and spell is in Latin. But not only that, medical science, everything is in Latin. The law is in Latin. E pluribus unum or whatever it is. That's not it, but it sounds some shit like that. But e pluribus unum, I think that's what it is. I don't know what it means. You feel me? My alma mater, our motto was res non verba. That's Latin for deeds, not words. So you see like the importance, the significance that they put on Latin, right? But then Latin, what does it come from? Again, another multiplicity of shit. And the reason why I use all of that is because I had to get it back to the point of the multiplicities, right? Created from the accept the duality of black versus white. Now, with the reality, we have black people, we got white people. We are going to make sure the black people can't thrive because they'll erase us, but then we're gonna make it seem like something wrong with them. So now everybody's alignment, as far as they're trying to get closer to being white, because white people said this is our standard, but white people are now secretly trying to emulate the real standard, which is the dominant genetics. And so now they can't emulate. You can't emulate what's natural. You can try all you want to, but it doesn't work. So now they're realizing, yo, what we are going to do is we're going to use them to preserve us. Hence why Henrietta Lacks came in. So again, now when I tie that back in to the separation and distinction between us as the people, we're not the same. Going back into the dualities of the, the android pelvises and all of that shit, and then going back to the higher point. I said all of that to bring it back to the point of the humanity, because the point of the humanity is like, if we're all the same, then how did we as black people never ever have an inkling to enslave anybody, but everybody's had the inkling to enslave us? How is it that we have never had the capacity to deny people of resources, of food, of like Mansa Musa was so rich that he gave gold away just to throw off somebody's economy. Now motherfuckers are so rich that they're just rich. You see what I'm saying? It's little levels and it's little things like that that make you see exactly what's truly happening on this planet. It takes it back to the singular side of it. Because ultimately that's what we have to get back to, our singularity. Now, with everything that's going on, this is why they're good at technology. They're good at technology in the sense that they have to get back to, no matter what the battle is, it's always going to be that battle of the opposition of the one. Now, if I tell you that the battle is between multiple shit that ain't got shit to do with shit, you're going to keep seeing a battle, but you're going to think that that's the battle. Taking it back to the point of the Matrix, where I was showing, like, if you identify a piece of the Matrix and think that's the Matrix, you can't break it. You have to identify the whole binary code, right? So now when we look at how binary code is established, and then we look at deities or whatever case, we got to look at the ultimate deity or the universe. This is why I call this episode of universe. When we look at the word universe, uni means one, but verse, what does verse mean? I've heard it said, people saying, verse means the word. No. Etymologically and archaically is just before in order, right? It does have its etymological roots, you feel me, and what they say it has its roots in, you feel me? But as far as the hierarchy and the time in which it shows up first, right? It's not what they're trying to make it seem like for where we are right now. You feel what I'm saying? And as we continue to adapt into the universe as it's not being defined, it's gonna fuck us up. So verse as its whole did not mean the word verse, one word. It meant the opposition. 1v1, the verses, the VS, like it means the opposition of the one. You feel me? It means opposition. So now universe is the opposition of the one. What's the one? Singularity. Now, when you first when you first enter the universe, you are accepting the opposition of the one. And accepting now the opposition of the one, you have left singularity. Because it's like, what opposes the one? Two. You need two to oppose the one, because you have one side that you're going to align with, the other side is going to help you understand the singularity. That's where, you feel me? That's where cosmic duality and shit comes in, right? And I don't think a lot of people really take into account how powerful this really is, because the forces that be do. So much so that they won't tell you why your deities are named a certain way. They won't tell you they won't tell you why your deity. Think about this. You follow a deity, and you're supposed to be monotheistic, but you follow a deity that says, "Let us create man in our likeness, image, and likeness," because the multiplicities and the dualities is what create the individual. But the individual has to get back to the source. To get back to the source, you have to understand your duality. Everything that you are, the world is the opposite. I'm gonna let that breathe for a little minute. Everything that you are, the world is opposite, so you can have a mirror to see yourself. I know it seems difficult. It seems hard. It seems like, you feel it. You know it. Everything that you are, the world is the opposite. But when you're trying to be the world, you never see the full you. This is why the book also says, be in the world, not of the world, because it's contextual. You be in the world. So that way, who you are can easily see the mirror, as opposed to be of the world where you become the mirror. How many of us really know who we are and do what we do? Not that many. And not because we can't, but because we're taught in a competitive world. We're not taught to collaborate. See, when we're taught collaboration, that means we focus on the inside and say, what do you bring to the table? As a collaborator, what do you bring as a tool and a resource that we can use? This is why that conversation is so trash. People are like, what do you bring to the table? Because they're speaking as not collaborative, but as competitors. Motherfucker, what you mean? What I bring to the table? I bring more than you, because it's about competition. You feel me? Motherfuckers asking, what do we bring to the table? And we all bring the same shit. We're all programmed and wired to bring the same shit. And not only are we wired to do the same shit, we're wired to be competitors. So, full circle back. Universe is the opposite of the one, right? We're currently in a competitive society, right? We get that shit. And we know that who we are, you feel me? Who we are, the world is a reflection of it. You feel me? But now we're taught to compete and not collaborate with that. When we collaborate with something, collaboration is filling in your voids. It's finding your missing pieces. Right? But rather than filling in our voids and finding our missing pieces, we hate the missing piece. We see a motherfucker who's our mirror. You ever seen a motherfucker? Hey, look, I love y'all to life, women. But y'all are good for this, especially my sisters. Y'all are good for this shit. It's just something about how I don't like. It's a piece you ain't made. It's a piece of yourself you ain't made peace with yet. It's a reflection of you that you don't like. And she's your reflection. Because the world is designed to give you the opposite of what you are until you master it. So that woman that you don't like that about yourself. Because that's an aspect in yourself that you ain't made peace with. But I'm just saying, I hear women say it all the time. It's just something about I don't like. When men say Israel, he a bitch. Like, he pussy. I don't like him because it is that and third. It's like, you feel me? But nah, I'm being dramatic. But I'm saying that because it's like, when we now tie into the singularity of the world being built off competition instead of collaboration, it was designed to be destroyed. Because we're in a competitive world world ruled by recessive genetics, and dominant genetics still thrive. It's crazy. So now they flip it because they're like, I ain't gonna hold you. They were smart as hell. They said, you know what? If we can't have the power, we control the power. I ain't mad. If you can't win, you figure out how to win in a competitive state. So it appears like a mutual collaboration, but it's not. It's not. All of this shit is competitive. You feel what I'm saying? This is why, like, when we look at the sports systems and we look at there's not many black owners. It's not fair. Y'all, like, I don't think people paid attention to this. Anabolic steroids got banned when black people started using them. Not because they were illegal. Anabolic steroids got banned when black people. It's like, yo, we're using them because you guys have melanin. Oh, you can't have melanin and them. You can't have melanin and steroids. It's not fair. Like, we need this shit. Like, you feel what I'm saying? So that's why they eat the shit that they eat. They create the proteins because they're like, we have to keep up. This is for them. This is not for the collective. When I take away from that bullshit, like when they started talking about male pattern baldness and all of that shit, that's not male pattern. There's no such thing as male pattern baldness. What there is an abundance of testosterone. And in your abundance of testosterone being produced, it stores in your hair follicles. And that causes the thing. It's like, oh, so yeah, you being more quote unquote manly is why you have bald head, why you have a bald head. Now, what do we define as manly? Not masculine, manly. Motherfucker who's overly aggressive. Motherfuckers, I'm strong. Motherfuckers that don't even diaphragm breathe. Most masculine motherfuckers stick the chest out and shit. You breathe into your chest and shit. You're not even breathing into your stomach. You only half breathing. You only use half your lung capacity. You feel me? So imagine, how is the oxygen going to naturally circulate through your body? Your blood pressure is high because in this manly shit, you got to stay in a fight or flight response. But you can't flee. You don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to look like a bitch, so you don't flee. So you fight. You feel me? And if you don't fight, you stay in the space where you always want to fight. Blood pressure stays up. Bing, checkmate. You feel what I'm saying? All of this is understood by them. And they understand the competition. You feel me? If I understand and I can keep you ignorant, I win the game. If I understand, but I make you ignorant and believe and trust in what I say, I own you forever. I don't have to put a shackle on your body. This is why I was telling people you can't break the system from the inside out because the system was designed this way. They be looking at me like I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, you can't. No, you can't. You change yourself. Like I said, when I was I own my shit. You feel me? I could have still been in med school. You feel me? Had I not have fucked up my first semester playing on the beach. I own that. I can't control the second semester when my grandmother got murdered. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, had I have, because ultimately, when I really think about it, the same situation would happen. Yeah, I would have passed the first semester. She still would have got killed. She still would have got murdered, and it still would have went the same exact way it went the day of that final. It didn't matter. You feel me? I wasn't going back. That was something I like. Now that I look back in hindsight, that event, there was no way that I could have, but in that event, it was like, yeah, buddy, like, this ain't for you. And then now when you show me instances where they're like, yo, it's black women literally dying on the tables. And they're like, yo, we in pain. You all right? You good? Huh? You want me to be a part of that? Yeah, because you can help. I can't be a part of that system. Oh, because I'm stepping in to give her to administer her some shit or whatever the case may be, blah, blah, blah. Because, oh, well, we don't do that because she don't like, no, the system is designed to destroy us. It's worse when we're the face doing the destruction. The education system, the judicial system, the healthcare system, that's what makes it so much worse. See, we only look at the judicial system when we see cops beat, like the boy that just got killed by the black cops. It didn't take 2 weeks for them to indict that motherfucker. Because it's like, nigga, we don't like y'all. We don't give a fuck if y'all help us not like y'all. We don't like y'all. That's 2 birds, 1 stone for us. You feel what I'm saying? When the jab was time, they took Dr. Fauci got a whole PBS special where he took the black mayor around the, he didn't do it by himself. He took the black mayor. And now look at the aftermath of that shit. I wonder how she feels right now. Look what you did to your people for the sake of these motherfuckers. The people that you're competing with that you don't even know have created a whole world off of a duality of competition that they have to destroy you because they can't compete. I don't think people understand how this world is built. The world is a racist world because the standard has to be. Think about the word race. Race means competition. And if we look at racism, it is the competition between genetics. Who wins that? Naturally. Leave us to natural devices. Don't nobody fuck with nothing. Take away TV, take away everything. Leave us in 10 years. Just let us do what we do. Who will be here and who won't? That's a competition you can't win. That's a competition you can't win, no matter what you do. So now, in order for me to compete, rather than collaborate, because I'm viewing the world in a competitive nature, survival of the fittest. If it's when it's survival of the fittest don't worry about surviving. That's a bar, I know. I said it differently when I actually rapped it. I actually rapped the bar where I said survival of the fittest. I'm in shape like a circle. But at the same time, there was levels to that one. I was way ahead of my time when I said that because I didn't even know what I was saying. I was like 16 or 17 when I said that bar. I said it's survival of the fittest. I'm in square, like I'm in shape like a circle. You feel me? We know circles are infinite. Don't play with me, bro. But anyway, survival of the fittest. The fit don't worry about survival. In survival of the fittest, the fit do not worry about survival. So when we take it back to the global warming, when we take it back to the healthcare system, they need systems in place to keep themselves alive. And it still don't work. How does that feel? You know how they say cheaters never win? How does that feel to know that you're in a singular world, right? To know that the duality has been split, and to now have to know that I'm creating multiplicities so I can make sure that we don't lose, and you lose. Whole time it's making you lose faster. Rather than being in a space of collaboration where you can at least maintain your dignity a little bit, you're gonna be erased. It's gone. Like you're gone. You feel me? But now when it's survival of the fittest, I have to make sure the fittest don't survive. Why do you think the target for men going to jail are black men, 18 to 25? That's when we're most fertile. That's when we're the most fertile and we're the most impactful. If you look at our culture, this is why when they do their marketing, when they pick the new hottest thing out, you can't be over 25. You pushing it if you get to 25. You feel me? The pocket is between 18 and 25 years. You get them 16, 4, younger than that, perfect. Because you can mold them and make them malleable as you want and get as much out of them as you want. But 18 to 25 is a cutoff. If you have not got signed or been established as a rapper, artist, or whatever by 25, it's too late. Now, acting is different. It's different. But I'm talking about music. The reason why I'm talking about music is there's a whole different power with that. But in that, they know how to control that world. You feel what I'm saying? So they're like, okay, between 18 and 25, that's where our influence, our culture comes from 18 to 25-year-olds. Think about it. You feel me? As a 32-year-old now, I'm well aware that I passed the baton a long time ago. I let it go. But I know how influential I was between the ages of 18 and 25. And I seen my influence and I said, I'm not going to use it as manipulation. I started to enhance myself, to better myself. They don't want that shit because that fucks up the competition. What are they doing between 18 and 25? Ensuring that their kids go to college, make sure you go to college, make sure you do this. Oh, no, we're going to make sure y'all go to prison or already have children by that age. So within the bracket in which you can change this competition, where you can change the narrative of this game, you can't. And now when you're out of the time, because like you have your 18 to 25 is a 7-year bracket. When your kid's 7, 8 years old and they can pretty much do for themselves and not do for themselves, okay, you know what I mean? But dress themselves, feed themselves for the most part. You got to help out a little bit. For the most part, now you can put your attention back into doing what you were supposed to do at 18 to 25, but now you can't because you're not 18 to 25 no more. And ain't nobody trying to hear that shit, Sharif. You feel what I'm saying? Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit, Sharif. So they make sure that okay, 18 to 25, we got to get you. This, now it's going to make sense. This is why Tupac was the biggest problem in the music industry. NWA was bad at first because it's like, they want you to believe that fuck the police was what was the problem. It was the power that 18 to 25-year-olds had that when they said fuck the police, motherfuckers said fuck the police. And Tupac was different. Because you got to think about it, NWA was the 80s. But again, they were rapping about crack and shit. Because NWA, when they started, they had that song Express Yourself. Dr. Dre got a song, Express Yourself. How you go from Express Yourself to the Chronic? Because you're now, oh, this is what 18 to 25-year-olds do. 50 Cent, in his most recent interviews and shit, a lot of his interviews really, when he talks about the in the club era, the Get Rich or Die Trying era, he said he'll tell you who his audience was. College students. That's everybody's target audience. College students. 18 to 25. You got to figure out how to communicate with 18 to 25-year-olds consistently. That's the bag. That's the bag. They're impressionable, they're malleable, and they're in a space where they're figuring out the world. Those are the people that are designed to push it forward. You know why? Because that is the second leg of, that is the third leg of your first life cycle. The third 7 years, which happens to run between 18 and 25. Specifically, 21 is when it kicks in. But at 18 to 25, because you're coming out of your second and coming into your third, it's a transition. As you approach the final 7 of your first, just before your Saturn return, and you finish your first life cycle. They know this, y'all. They know this, and they use it, and they use it well, and they use it because they understand the singularity of the universe, and they understand the singularity that keeps everything in balance, because they're saying, now, I want to end this on this note to show power of my people, because I had a conversation with a friend. Well, she's not a friend anymore, but we was friends when we was talking, and I met her a long time ago. It had to be like 2014. I was in middle school at the time, but we talking and shit, and we're vibing, we having this conversation, and I told her, I said, I can only be with a black woman. And she said, I feel like you would be limiting yourself. Now, mind you, she's mixed. I think her dad was black, her mom was white. But she was like, I feel like you would be limiting yourself on love. I said, it's deeper than love. I said, what y'all even call love is just an amalgamation of infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. I don't want that. But I understand that when it comes to real love, The power for betterment through correction, only a black woman can give me that. Only a black woman can love me, and I will only allow a black woman to love me. And I can only allow a black woman, I can only love a black woman that way. I'm not willing to correct anybody else for the better because we're already in a world where they created a system that is designed to attack me, right? It's designed to attack me and my woman. So why would I go to war with a motherfucker who doesn't know the battle? Why would I add myself into a war with a motherfucker who doesn't have to fight this war? They're on the other side of the war. I gotta constantly argue with a motherfucker telling them, motherfucker, yo, you don't need to be fighting this war anymore. Bitch, they're slaughtering us. They're not slaughtering me. They're just slaughtering your people. You're with me, so you should be good. They'll kick you out before they accept me. So I had to accept that. And accepting that, it taught me to see the singularity of this entire world, the matrix that we in. It's this quote unquote racism. Racism ain't going nowhere. Racism will never go anywhere because black people can never stop being. Racism will never leave because black people will never stop having dominant genetics. That's it. And the recessive genetics, or even the homozygous genetics, which is the mongoloid, and the recessive genetics, which is the caucasoid, they can't compete. In a world where we don't have to compete. And so because we don't have to compete, we're willing to collaborate. It's why we end up giving up our resources. It's why we end up inviting motherfuckers to the cookout. It's why we end up, you know what I'm saying, doing stupid shit, because we have a collaborative nature, because we don't have a need to compete, because we're not trying to survive. So because we're not trying to survive and the competition has to be equal, they have to make the situations for us to survive. They have to create the system that puts us in a. This is when I knew how, like I said, this is when I started to observe how powerful my people are. There are systems, worldwide systems of racism in place against my people. And if we understand singularity, that means that we are existing in a duality where my people are so fucking powerful. We're so fucking powerful, my guy, that we sit and do nothing. We mind our fucking business. We entertain the world. We don't own shit. We don't build. We don't go over to people's places and blow their shit up. We don't do shit. We just entertain the world and give it culture. That's it. We entertain the world and give it culture. We make the best music. We play the sports the greatest. We entertain the world. We dance the best, and we give it culture. Right? And they want to compete. They have systems in place to compete with that, and they still can't win. When you as a black person can understand, like I seen this post, and I'm gonna try to wrap it up with this. I seen this post where this woman, I hate when y'all do this on social media because it make us look weak. And I be wanting like, yo, shut the fuck up. But I get it because I understand where you are. Because in the multiplicities of shit, this is the world that you live in. You're not able to see the full binary. You just able to see a number 1 or a 0. That's in a specific code. Not, you know what I mean? So it's like, actually, she's like, what did we do for the world to hate us? Why does the world hate us? We don't bother nobody. We mind our business and they still keep fucking with us. That's it. That's it. That should teach you the power of duality and show you the singularity that is you. When I look at deities, when I look at religions, there's no way in hell from the religions that I understand that I can say any deity on this side of the earth that's motherfucking westernized created me. No westernized deity. No deity that the Western society accepts could have created me. Because these deities aren't singular. These deities are multiplicities of a man's thoughts. You see what I'm saying? So when I look at us as black people on the collective, I'm like, bruh. Like, we got 3 races of people. When I break down this equation, right, it's going to be done. I'm going to be done for real. We got 3 races of people. The Africoid, the Caucasoid, and the Mongoloid. Tying this into singularity. Like the Arab, that we ain't going to talk about where that motherfucker fit. But we got 3 types of people. The Africoid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid, right? When we look at where we are right now, right, the singular nature, right, taking it out of singularity, the dual nature that we're in, we are literally in a battle, but that is Caucasian and Caucasoid and Mongoloid versus Africoid. Not only is it already at the opposite side, it's already uneven, but it's still even. It's already uneven, but it's balanced. Check this. 2/3 equals 1/3. The Africoid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid. The Caucasoid and the Mongoloid are at odds with the Africoid. And they reflect it. They still have resources. Like, we've been beefing with all of them. You feel what I'm saying? They give us their religions, and we still, you feel me? So now, here's why they fuck up. Because if they were smart, they just go ahead and end it, and then we'll go into singularity, and we can just come together as one. But no, they keep it separate, and now they create multiplicities of themselves. We don't create the multiplicities because we don't have to. Multiplicities are a derivative of competition. Because in the same competition that these two have between us, they have between each other. And we don't have to compete between either one of them. Because our energy, because of our dominant genetics, we see life as collaboration. We don't have to see it as competition because we're not trying to survive. We are the fittest. Now they have to decide who's the fittest between them. We already held true. So what they have to do is now, okay, if we gonna separate y'all by landmass. We're gonna separate y'all by landmass. So y'all that are African, y'all ain't gonna know. Y'all gonna think there's something different with Americans. Americans, y'all gonna think something different. We're gonna separate y'all by landmass. Yep, that's what we gonna do. So we can fragment y'all, so that way we can still be balanced. You feel me? We can still be balanced. Now it's fractional, because now I attack a piece of the matrix. I can't attack the whole matrix. The whole matrix is black people. I can't attack the whole matrix, but I can attack a piece of the matrix and then make the matrix attack itself. That's what the fractionalization is. I can't beat them, so I have to make them beat themselves, but I have to create the system that makes them want to beat themselves. So I can only attack one that I can attack. And then they'll pretty much do it for themselves. And now if we look at where we are today, look at the movements that we are right now. We fighting amongst ourselves, and they fighting to survive. All because we are not seeing the singularity that we need to see. Not my circus, not my monkeys. People be like, "Yo, what do you feel about certain shit?" I'm like, they're going extinct. I don't have no issues with that. The fuck you want me to do with a motherfucker that's about to go extinct? I'm not trying to be funny. That right there is the survival of the fittest. They're on the endangered species list, and they won't tell y'all that shit. You know why? Because the global warming. Notice that how every time. I'm really gonna wrap it up here. So now, tying this all back in. Now, when we put that, now they create the multiplicity between themselves. But in creating a multiplicity between themselves, they have to continue. They have to create a deeper multiplicity between us, because they're like, "Yo, we not beating them if we gonna keep fragmenting, but we got to keep fragmenting them just to stay afloat." You see what I'm saying? So now, I'm gonna tell you that your continent is fragmented, right? Right. So now, not only that, and then I'm gonna tell half of y'all that y'all came from this continent, and y'all ain't even from the land that y'all are on. Y'all just came from over here. We took we beat you. Now I'm gonna have y'all beefing with each other. Motherfuckers really mad at the motherfuckers in Ghana. Motherfucker like, yo, we didn't even know y'all, we didn't know they was gonna do that to y'all, and we didn't give them all of y'all. Some of y'all ain't from Ghana. Some of y'all from right where the fuck you are. But now even that's fragmented, because now you got to reduce it down to a block. Niggas is Grape Street, Crips, and Pyrus. When we was once what? Genetically dominant. How in the fuck did we get to that? And now, when you look at the Bloods and you look at the Pyrus, look at how they move. Look at how they fucking move. They swarmed over the whole country. Did you know? I'm just making this up. But did you know black gangs pretty much, I put money on it. I'm willing to put money on the black gangs outnumber the military. You can't convince me they don't. You can't convince me they don't. You know how many gangsters I knew? You know how many gangsters I knew when I was doing what I was doing? You know how many gangsters I knew when I was in college? You know how many gangsters I knew that was in the military? I wasn't in the military. My sister's in the military. But you know how many gangsters I knew that was in the military? You know how many niggas? Look, I know 3 Crips in med school, bro. No bullshit. Like, I know 3 Crips in med school. Like, it was like, nigga, how? Wait a minute. I noticed you say certain words. You don't say certain words. Like, you fuck with certain. Yeah. Like, what? Yeah, some shit you get put down with, but it's like, that's the bigger picture. Imagine if we wasn't fragmented. That's the only thing. Like, that's what's whooping our ass. Like, if we look at the battle, we look at the fight. The only reason why we're losing is because we're fighting each other while they're fighting us. All we got to do is come together. Genetics of dominance is all we got to accept. We got to say, you know what? We're genetically. That's the singularity of who we are as people. Genetics of dominance. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when I look at the cultures, right? If I look at the American culture, I look at African culture. We dance a little different, but we dance. We're rhythmic. I don't care what religion you follow, whether your practice is voodoo, whatever the case may be. Every practice begins with dancing. Every practice begins with dancing because you got to stir your kundalini energy up. You know why the kundalini energy is stirred up when you dance? Because dancing uses every nerve in your body. Your nervous system is your astral and causal bodies. This is why you ever heard people say your chakras are in these particular points, but they're not there. They're in a different space in your body because you have three bodies: your physical body, your astral body, and your causal body. Your nervous system connects your physical body to your astral body and your causal body. When you dance, you move, and you energize your nervous system. When you energize your nervous system, you activate the astral energy. And that's why after you finish doing that praise dance or whatever, you shouting and you screaming, that's why you preach. That's why they preach to you afterwards. Because now you're in a vulnerable state because your kundalini is energy just activate. Kundalini ain't shit special. It's your nervous system. And that's why they say you move it back up to your brain, because your brain is the main point of your nervous system. This is why breathing is so important, because when you breathe, and they say nostril breathe into your diaphragm, because the very first nerve is the olfactory nerve. That's the nose. That's cranial nerve number one. The final nerve where your kundalini sits, which is your sacral nerve, I think it's like S3 or something like that. So you got from C1 to S3, but you have like 30 something nerves. 31. Because you got 33. No, you got 33 vertebrae and 31 vertebrae, 33 nerves. Right? But that's why. And then you had the cranial nerve and shit. But all of that was to show how fragmented we are under the same shit. We all like to dance. We all move to the heavy drum because we lost the singularity. We went down to a duality, picked a side, and then now we've been fragmented. So some of us think we niggas, and we are. In context, that's why it's like someone said we're gonna take the power back from the word. I don't know. Maybe it's an unconscious thing why I'm trying to take the power back from it, because it was like, yo, at one point when it was just them describing how we were, literally, negras, negros, niggers. Oh no, we gonna make it bad. Negro. Oh, why they? Because y'all black. This is what I didn't mention in that part. The reason why they were called negras and negros, because the Spanish, when they approached these people, this is what they saw. You feel me? They saw black. I can get it. But there's no reason why. How can we be black if you can see the distinction between the color of the hair and the hairline? Like the color of the hair and the forehead. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Our hair is black. But when they referred to them as the negras and everything, it was deeper than that. It wasn't for the color. It was using the color to express the encompassing of all. These people have everything. They absorb the sun. We reflect the sun. And that's where the black and white shit comes from. That's where the duality comes from. And that's where we walk out of singularity. And when we refuse to take ourselves back into singularity and understand exactly what the fuck we're doing, we're going to continue to be fragmented into this multiplicity of non-binary shit that is going to keep us fragmented and keep us from getting to where we need to get to. And if we continue to keep it from where we need to get to, we're going to be in some crazy fucking loops. Y'all got to really sit and think about it. Like, if you want the cycle to break, you got to go to singularity. Everybody's trying to break the cycle at that point that, no, this cycle's run. These are systems. These aren't even cycles no more, y'all. These are systems that are in place. Systems are cycles of cycles. Know that. Systems are cycles of cycles. You got to break the cycle, and you got to break the system. To break the system, you got to know how the system works. You have to return back to singularity. Otherwise, the duality of it all is going to keep you fragmented. It's going to keep you fragmented and moving into multiplicity, because you can never bring it back to the source. If you can never bring it back to the source, the person who brings you to the source or controls what the source is to you, they control your ass. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. That's Singularity. Some things probably weren't Singularity in the context, but y'all know how these things go. I got to say what I got to say. I don't control some of these things. I go into different pockets where I don't even register myself sometimes. But y'all should know that by now. But yeah, the Singularity. That's all we got to do is get back to the singularity of life. We can't get back to singularity of life because we look at life as one, competition instead of collaboration. And two, we don't look at the world as us. That was one of the things that helped me learn the fastest. I realized everybody that I started to run into was something about me. Now, if you've ever heard my album, my first album, at the end, in the outro, I said, 2 eyes that seen a million faces, 2 legs that walked a million paces, 1 heart to decipher unfamiliar. No, 1 heart to let the plaintiffs plead their cases. No, 1 heart to decipher. What'd I say? 2 eyes that seen a million faces, 2 legs that walked a million paces, 1 mind to decipher unfamiliar faces, 1 soul to let the plaintiffs plead their cases, right? The first part of that, 2 eyes that seen a million faces. These, I didn't really see a million faces, but every face that I've ever experienced was me. And I don't mean me, as in, no, the motherfucker look like me and shit. No, I mean, as far as that was a reflection of my soul, a certain piece. And we connected because it was something that was foreign to me that I had to remind myself about. That I was like, You know how many entrepreneurs I met in my life, but it didn't register that I was an entrepreneur until I started doing entrepreneur shit? You know how many like musicians I met in my life, but I didn't really know that I was a musician until I started doing musician shit? Like, you know how many speaking people who speak are in my life, but I didn't know and it was me until I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I was 12 years old, like y'all know I'm a teacher, I'm a guide, I do this shit. But when I was 12 years old, my cousin, I never forget it. It sticks now. If you come around me, you'll hear him say it. You hear my family say it. They call me professor. They be like, yo, that's the professor right there. Cause he's just smart as fuck. They were like, because I was 12 years old. I was doing my homework. They was doing their homework. They had got their college work, whatever. And they was like, yo, I don't get this shit. I said, let me see it. And they was like, man, what you know about that? And then I looked at it and I sat with it for a little bit. And then I broke it down and I was like, this it. And I showed them how to do it. And they got it right. And it was like, yo, you the professor. From that point on, they called me the professor. The reason why I said that is because it's always been in me to teach. And I've always been around situations reflective of teach something, right? Because that was the part that was naturally who I am. The outer world was the other side of what I had not become yet. You feel what I mean? When we know or not know who we are, the world is still going to beckon as a mirror. Everything we are is complete. That's 100% who we are right now. That's one half of us. The other half is in the world. It's not in sex. It's not in drugs. It's not in all these things. It's in the world. Everywhere in the world. Now, when they create these multiplicities, they fuck with how you can see the world. You feel me? When they give you the religion, you can only see it through this lens. You feel me? I would have never, this is why I mentioned the Baphomet and bringing it back here. I would have never been able to know that the Baphomet meant singularity. And, because, I skipped all over this point. The Baphomet's 2 fingers, because I went on peace and separation and it took me somewhere else. The peace and unity is when you bring it back together. I'm going to say this for real. I'm not going to take this on. But peace and unity is when you put them together. You have one hand up, one hand down. On one arm, it says coagula. On the other hand, it says salve. Salve means bring together or to unite. Coagula means to separate. No, salve means to analyze and deconstruct, to break down. Coagula means to unite. You feel what I'm saying? And one hand is pointing up, one hand is pointing down. It's as above, so below. As within, so without. There's a lot of symbolism in that one thing. But if your multiplicity says, hey, your religion says don't even look at that, imagine how limited your learning is. This one I made that. Remember that episode on lexicons I made about the words in which you're able to use? That's your world. My world is free, not solely because of my vocabulary, because I have seen singularity so much that I can look at singularity at anything. I don't have to look at something and say, I have to avoid this because I know nothing about it or because I'm told to stay away from this shit. You feel what I'm saying? So now, when you look at the lens of what is shaped and what you can view, if your shit don't fit within that, if what you're trying to learn or what you're trying to grow into doesn't fit into that, that's where you're going to stay. And that's where they want you. When I say they, I literally am talking about the Caucasians who built the systems that keep us in play. I don't know their names because these systems been running for a long time. So I'm going to say they, but that's who the fuck I'm talking about. They want you like that, right? Think about it. If religion really worked, you wouldn't have it. If religion, my nigga, cancer, you feel insulin is one of the most expensive drugs on the fucking market. But diabetes increases every fucking year. So you expect me to believe that they fucking with your spirituality and they're making religion just freely available and it's perfectly fine? We literally seen the exact same thing over these last 2 years with this jab. If you didn't see it with the jab, you don't see it in reality. And this is one thing that you have to get to where you have to stop arguing with people, because you have to realize, what multiplicity are they speaking in? We are already approaching each other in the dual nature. You're the absent half of myself when I meet you. This is why I was talking to one of my travelers, and she was like, every time you post or something, it always gives me something. And we have exchanges where we converse and shit. And I'm like, yeah, I learned something from you too. Like, I don't be feeling like I be teaching you nothing. That's because you don't understand how I learn. And you don't understand how I approach the situation. I approach the situation from a singular nature. I don't approach it as, I'm teaching her. I'm from the duality of, you're the student coming to me to learn. No, I'm a firm believer of, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But when the teacher is ready, the student appears. Like, motherfuckers be like, yo, you just open up. Like, no, somebody got to be willing to learn. That means you have to know what, in order for you to teach it right, and the person willing to learn it correctly to show up, means that you're now ready to teach it the way it's supposed to be taught. It's levels. I can promise you it's levels to this shit. But until you decide to step out of singularity, out of multiplicity, out of duality, and get back to singularity, this shit's gonna be hard. You're gonna look at life differently. So she's telling me that, she can't see how I'm helping her. I said, I can't see how you don't. The sole fact that we had this conversation, there was something I needed to see, whether it was big, small, or whatever the case may be. And there was something that you needed to see. There's something, like, when I look at the Iwi gang is man, I promise you, I love Iwi gang. I'm gonna tell you why I love Iwi gang so much. I keep getting better. I always thought I mastered the market. I thought I was good. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I thought I was good. When I was teaching one-on-ones, I wasn't teaching the way I was doing the Iwi, right? But now I'm incorporating teaching as doing. It's different. So within the Iwi, I learn new shit, and I be like, yo, I got to sit with this for a few weeks. I can't just tell y'all I just learned something new, because it's like, I'm still learning new shit. Because I'm in a singular space. As the teacher, I'm in singularity. I am not in a single duality of, I'm the teacher and now here are my students. I'm in a singularity. I'm a teacher who has to teach somebody and learn from them. That's the singular nature of it. So I'm learning how to become a better teacher for my students, but in learning how to become a better teacher, I become a better investor and trader, which in turn makes me teach it better. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean, so when you operate from whatever singularity duality you're operating from, the world is going to give you its opposite to bring you back into singularity. The problem is we operate from competition. That's why we can't figure ourselves the fuck out. This is why we need a significant other. I need another half. No, you don't. You need a motherfucking reflection. That's it. And you need to acknowledge your reflection, and then you can find another whole, because you will be whole yourself. But that's not what we want. And that's not what we're willing to do. And that's not what we really want to do, because the society has made it competitive. This is why we end up asking what we bring to the table. No. What? Not what do you bring to the table? What resource are you bringing to me? I don't even know if I need your resource or not. You feel me? I had a conversation with a woman who was like, she asked me one day, she said, what can I do for you? Be you. But you don't need anything from me. I know. So I'm looking in hindsight like my relationships, that's why they was fucking up. I was coming from the relationship as a singular being. They were coming into it from a dual being who picked the singularity. Ooh, you let me walk in my divine feminine. You let me do this. You let me do this. And I had never prepared for the shit. All this time, this shit was in me. All this time, I was supposed to have this shit. And all this time, these fuck boys and all this shit, these were glimpses of moments of shit in myself that I was supposed to acknowledge to strengthen me in order, but instead I just let it damage me. Because trying to compete, you know how many motherfuckers we have a lot of us have stayed in damaging relationships out of competition because we wanted to save face around motherfuckers. I don't want you to feel like I lost. I ain't gonna hold you. This is a plug again, but when it comes to mastering the market and shit, that helped me lose. That helped me become a loser in life, which makes me a better winner. If the trade going against me, I get the fuck out. Ain't no hope that shit's gonna turn around, nigga. I apply that to life. I can see now ahead of time, oh, nah, this shit going down. This is not a good analysis. It may turn around down the line, but at this particular moment when I needed to be positive, it's not. So I can't fuck with it. I know, same. Relationships have roller coasters. Are they supposed to though? Competitive relationships have roller coasters. They don't want to tell you that part. Because again, you got to get back to the singular nature of it. They keep you in multiplicity so you don't see it. A collaborative relationship has no ups and downs. It has lefts and rights or twists and turns. Ups and downs are far different because twists and turns, you can still be going linear. Or you can even be progressing upwards with twists and turns. But ups and downs, nigga, you went down. That means gains and losses. Imagine that. Your relationship. Imagine if you're thinking about a trade chart over 10 years, right? You seen it go up, right? Go to year 2, it dropped. Year 3, like, I know they like the rise and falls of relationships. As a trader and an investor, I can tell you from firsthand experience, you don't have to be in a relationship when it's down. You don't have to be in a trade when it's down, unless you can benefit with your options and things of that nature. Can you benefit in a collaborative space when it's not in your favor no more? No, that's not a healthy relationship. And it's not going to be healthy. Y'all are just going to behave at most. Because y'all are not going to see what it takes to understand why you two are together. That's your fucking reflect. That's the other side of you that you're missing. That's the other side of you that you're missing. It's no mystery. Like, because I'm a monogamous person, I was like, it didn't take me multiple women to understand it. You feel what I'm saying? She was literally the exact opposite of me. That's why I tell people, like, everything I was supposed to learn out of relationships, the bad shit, most motherfuckers got to go through 4 or 5 of these motherfuckers. I went through 1. Because it wasn't the relationship that I was trying to figure out. Motherfuckers like, why I got to go through all that? Because that was the side of you that could hurt you the most. That bad breakup, that heartbreak, that situation that you went through, right? That's what self-sabotage would look like. Because the person that fucked with you, the person that did that to you was you. But it was a side of yourself that you had not acknowledged yet. And because you had not acknowledged yet, you don't know what that side can do to you, but you do now. I looked at the girlfriend that I was with. I can blame and say, bitches ain't shit. I could have been all that. But when I got back to the singularity, she was everything I had not made peace with. Everything I had not made peace with about myself, and that was reflective within me, and I ran from it. I couldn't run from her. I couldn't run from her. We can lie to the world, but we can't lie to ourselves in our relationships. We can lie to the world, but we can't lie to ourselves, and our relationships will determine if we're lying or not. But only we will know that we're lying or not. Because when we look at why is this relationship not? What are you not learning? It's that simple. What are you not learning? What are you refusing to get out of the situation? Because when people show up to do the same thing, there's something in you that is the same that you refuse to change. And that's the mirror for it. See that shit. But get back into the singularity and know that these two things have to walk hand in hand. Back to profane profundity. I talk shit because I talk shit. I just do. I can't help it. But I talk good shit. I learn how to give you motherfuckers something that's tangible. But I've also learned in my singularity and getting into how the matrix is working out in multiplicity, I can't just be in one space. You feel me? I can't talk like a preacher because then you don't listen. Like when I looked at, I'm really gonna wrap it up. When I looked at my page, I have Christians, I have Hebrew Israelites, I have atheists, I had witches and brujas, witches, wizards and brew hoes, motherfucking. I got everything on my page. Islamic people, um, fucking artists, fucking painters, fucking jewelers. I have everything on my page. And I mean, they interact with my shit on a regular basis. And it's like, that's how I knew I was singularity. That's how I knew I had to reach singularity, because it doesn't matter where I am. I can communicate the universal message. No, not love your neighbor or love thyself, but whatever message has to be delivered through me, I can give it to whoever it needs to be given to. Right? Because I'm not bound by singularity. Now, when it gets to the point, like when I had conversations with religious people and they shut down because they can't have that, because you're not free. You pick the dual side. So that other side is what's going to be prevalent in your life. This is why when people be like, yo, I got faith the size of a mustard seed, but the devil stay busy. Because you don't know how to beat devils up. You don't know how to face devils. When you realize that the devil is not evil, the devil can never be evil to you if you control the devil. Think about it. It's like a bully. If you beat the bully up, he won't bully you no more. When the devil is busy, fire his dumb ass. What the fuck is y'all doing? You gave the nigga the job. Fire his stupid ass. You feel me? You're in control. But as long as you don't believe you're in control, you can never get back to the singularity. I know I'm in control, so much so I understand how control in my life works. And I control the shit well. But it's long. I was really feeling this episode. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our kids, bro. Our kids are born into singularity. They're born into singularity. They lose it when they start talking and asking questions. The question that they're asking is them trying to get back. They have the half that is them, and then the world that every question they ask you is an aspect of guidance. It's like, I'm lacking something in this half of my life. Can you provide me with that answer? As the parent, you're supposed to, or at least be able to guide them to it. It's not no because I said so. Again, multiplicities get created with shit like that. Because I said so. Do as I say, not as I do. That creates a multiplicity of insanity. Nigga, you know how far we are from singularity? And it's not hard to get to? When I went into the archives, it took me 7 years. Like right now, at 32 years old, I started this process when I was like 24. 24, right? So no, that's 8 years. It took me about 8 years in completion, continue, because this is not, now granted, this is not, let me say this too, this is not something that you do and then okay, you stop it. No, this is an ongoing practice. This is a lifestyle for me. I do this to keep myself on point, right? But when I first started this process, do you know how many multiplicities I had to get through just to get to a duality? Bruh, you are so divided within yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about it. Like, you feel me? I started off forensic biologist, forensic major, and all like these things create the multiplicities that now you shrink yourself when you stay in this box. You're not as expansive as you once were. That's why I taught you about dream jobs and your goals and all of this shit like that. Like, yo, your goal is to live and be alive, live forever. You can do whatever you want to do, immortalize yourself. This is low key why I'm all over the place, but I'm everywhere I need to be. I literally have just, because I was sitting back, I was like, yo, I wonder which way the social media marketing and shit is gonna go. And I already know which way it's gonna go. No funny shit. I'm no funny shit. I change a lot of social media shit without having to change shit. And I think it's because I'm but a lot of people follow the shit that I do, and I be doing it because it's just what I want to do. And then it's like it changed. For example, with the whole slide 2 shit, I started that. Now it's so passe, I don't even want to do it no more. I don't even have to do it, but people are still doing slide 2s. As if it's new. Like, you feel me? I had somebody send me a post that said, yo, this person slide 2s always take me out. And I was like, you're disrespectful. Now, mind you, they were newer to the page. So when they come to the page, they're more so on the reel side, the reels and the blue slides that I do. So they don't know. You feel me? They're like, yo, this person slide 2s always give me. It's always the second slide. I was like, wow. That was me a couple years ago. So now when I'm looking at the way marketing, and this is why I'm saying this right here, because when I seen all the multiplicities that I was, I was like, hmm, hmm. One, those are pieces of me. I'm not staying there. Those are all bags. Every multiplicity of you, you can make money off of when you get back to the singularity of yourself. When I got back to the singularity of myself, what came out of that? Inflate with Inflation Community, the Master the Market course, the Hitting the Raw course, the Hitting the Raw book, and all three Soul Frail books. Right. But in that, I never stepped into duality. I stayed in the singularity. So when they say you're an author, nope, I'm not. You're a teacher, nope, I'm not. You're a content creator, nope, I'm not. I'm seeing. These are things that I've done. The singularity. Don't define me by these multiplicities. Fuck these multiplicities. Now, if I stayed in those, I die. Those are the hills I die on. I want you to know that I can die on any hill that I want. This is what I show. I show that I can die on any hill I want, but I have no hill that I'm going to die on. I can stay in the Soul Frail pocket and just talk about masculinity. That's no fun to me. I can stay in the Hitting the Raw pocket and just talk about vegan shit. That's no fun to me. I can stay in this podcast pocket and just talk about esoteric shit and the shit that makes you learn. But this is why the podcast low-key be all over the place, because I want to talk about what the fuck I want to talk about. It's just saying. Now, my singularity is this is me, right? The Just Seen podcast, Profane Profundity. Just Seen, that's who I am. That's the singularity. Profane Profundity, these are my dualities, and I merged them. That's it. That's what this life is supposed to be about, getting you back to your singularity, not taking you out into your multiplicity. That's why we have to make sure our babies retain that. When it's time for them to learn and they start asking why, they're asking whys because they need to understand the other half of themselves that didn't come complete with instructions. When they enter this world, they was only half complete. And they need the rest of the world to mirror it. There's 8 billion people in this world that have the potential to bring us back to who we are. It's not to say that we're going to need to meet all 8 billion people, but you need to know that every relationship is important. Every experience that you make, that you encounter, is important in understanding who you are. And when you get back to that singularity, the world is your oyster. You play with it. You feel what I'm saying? And then when we teach our kids to have that mindset going in, we don't have to tell them, hey, you go be a doctor. No, you be you. And if you want to be a doctor, learn that shit. You be you. You know what I'm saying? This is why I always say, stop asking your kids what they want to be when they grow up. Ask them who they are right now. Cultivate that. Because the moment you say, when I remember the day that I declared I wanted to be a doctor, I was 4 years old. I never forget it. One of these guys, one of my brother's friends, he said something. I said, yo, he pissed me off or whatever. And because my mama worked 2 jobs, these are some shit that I saw at 4 years old and observed. I said, I'm going to work 2 jobs. I said, mama, I'm going to be a dentist and I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to take care of you when I get older. 4-year-old saying that. You know what multiplicity that just created? Because you can't be a full-time doctor and a dentist, my nigga. Come on, bro. Those are 2 careers. Those ain't jobs. But seeing her go to school and do it broke the barrier. That's not impossible. You can do both. You feel what I'm saying? But you can't. You can't, right? But I made that declaration at 4 years old because my brother's friend at the time, he did something to me, and I said, you know what? He pissed me off. I said, I'm gonna put some braces in his mouth so tight, and I'm gonna make him eat a lollipop. I'm gonna make him bite it. I don't know what he did. He just made me mad. But in that expression, right, that set the tone because I was angry at him for doing that, but wanting to be a doctor was real. The dentist part was literally just to get back at him, but the doctor part was, because I was like, yo, they healed me. I knew I was a healer. I wanted people's pain to stop. Again, the multiplicities you could create by not understanding how to articulate yourself. I'm 4 years old. Who the fuck can say at 4 years old, I want the pain of the world not to be a problem? Nah, bitch, I want to be a doctor. It's easier. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's my database and that's my understanding of life. But setting that created the multiplicity that do this. So I started watching and started engaging things that doctors did, not realizing that I just wanted people to understand how their pain needed to stop. It was deeper to the point where it transitioned and then it became different multiplicities of that. And it's like, once I got to those things and was still unfulfilled, I said, why does this not? Because that's not what you were trying to do. That's just how you articulated it. But now that I am that, it's different. When people hit me up and like, yo, bro, I want people's pain to stop. Now, this is not to say take on your pain. That's not me, but I make myself available. This is something that I had to learn. Don't make yourself accessible. Make yourself available. Never make yourself accessible. Make yourself available. And the people that find that need the availability, they'll pay for the access. And they will ask you for the access, and they will not waste the access that they have. Trust me, I've learned this shit from experience. Yeah, I remember when I started the chatting with seeing shit, because I was like, yo, y'all don't really want shit. Y'all to be wasting my time. Once I started putting a price on my time, motherfuckers stop wasting it. So I'm saying that to make sure your kids know about multiplicities, the dualities, and singularities. When you get back to the singularity side, you can face the universe, face Allah, God, Jehovah, your Krishna, Buddha, and you get back to the competition. I mean, you get to the self. And when you're back at the self, you're back home. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. This is long as fuck, but I was feeling this. So go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.